Hey, we'd like to take a minute to thank our sponsor, Isotope, makers of software and plugins for audio repair, mixing, and mastering. We use Isotope products here at the High Gain. It's an important part of how we've been able to bottle pure podcast gold week after week. And guess what? Isotope offers 1 free month of Music Production Suite Pro, which has all the tools you need to mix, master, and repair audio. Also, you can get 10% off all other software using the promo code FRET10. That's FRET10. All of this is at isotope.com, IZOTOPE.com.
Hey, this is Ed Peterson.
And this is John Kieltyka.
This is the High Gain Podcast, guys.
Yep, the High Gain Podcast. It's about guitars.
Yeah, that's great. Let's spend a little time talking about guitars today, John.
I think we should.
Yeah, let's do that. Where are we recording from today?
West Seattle, Washington, Ed. It's sunny out.
Yeah, it's beautiful. We just went for a walk, got a couple of beverages.
Yep.
It was great.
Yeah, the beverages are very necessary on a warm day like this.
Staying hydrated.
That's right.
It's key.
You don't want to pass out.
No, when you're podcasting.
Yeah, good health. Very important. What's your beverage?
I have 2 today.
2?
We went again to the Uptown Espresso in beautiful West Seattle, and I got a Venti iced Americano with a compostable straw.
Nice.
Because plastic straws are illegal in Seattle.
Suck on that, Mississippi.
Yeah. Yes. And then I also got an Odwalla superfood.
You got to be real careful with those, Ed.
With pasteurization, the flash.
Yeah, they have had issues in the past.
That was a long time ago, and I don't like you besmirching the name of the Odwalla Corporation.
You say that now, but when you're on the ground and I'm pumping on your chest...
Did they give people, not Ebola or anything?
I think it was Ebola.
Oh, my God.
I think it was.
Well, I'm drinking it anyway.
You are all over the map with your beverage game.
Which is funny because I eat the same thing for lunch every day.
Do you?
Yeah, I go to Taco Del Mar every day and I get what I call a bean bowl. I walk in and I don't even say a word. They just put all the ingredients in a bowl and ring me up. Completely different from my beverage game. What about you? What are you drinking?
I've got another one of those lovely San Pellegrino Clementina beverages.
Yeah, you've been rocking those for a while now.
It's a lovely beverage.
It is. It's all right. It's all right.
This is a different episode today, Ed.
Yeah. What are we going to do? Oh.
Do you hear this sound, Ed?
Yep, I do.
Now, normally I ask you and our podcast viewers...
The viewers.
Yeah. If they know what this guitar is.
Yep.
I'm not going to do that today.
Why not?
Because I have 2 guitars here.
Yeah.
This is a Fender Jazzmaster. We're not going to run down what a Jazzmaster does, except to tell you that this is a 1963 Fender Jazzmaster.
Yep. It's black with a mint pickguard. So it's a really faded mint green pickguard.
Yes.
And it's got a matching black headstock.
It does.
Pre-CBS. It's got the clay dots.
Yep. Slab fingerboard.
Yep. It's a refinish. The body was completely stripped, but the headstock was all original. So they sent it to Eric Daw, and he refinished the body and made the body match the headstock.
The headstock is slightly beat, so Eric was able to relic the refin on the body to match.
It's a light relic. It's not one of those over-the-top, everything's ripped to shreds. Yep.
Okay, so why are we playing this? Because today we are going to figure out what's going on with Fender reissues.
Yeah.
Why'd they do them?
Yep.
Why are they still doing them?
Yep.
What made them do them to begin with?
Yep.
And how did they do?
Yeah.
Are they worth anything? Are they any good? This is also a Fender Jazzmaster.
Yeah.
This is from the American Vintage Reissue Series.
AVRI.
Yep. And this guitar is from 2006. Big difference in years. This is a Sunburst and it has all the same appointments. The only difference I should call out because we believe in full transparency here.
Sure.
Plus the viewers might
right.
notice it anyway.
Yep.
It has a mastery bridge on it.
Yep.
So, why a reissue?
Yeah.
We have to rewind a little bit back to a time that was fraught.
Oh, no.
Do you remember 1973, 74, 75?
I remember 76 because I remember that was the year of the bicentennial. A lot of flags and shit.
I remember sitting in the back seat of the car with my mom driving in the morning, before school even, waiting in the car in a line for gas.
Yes, those are good times.
You could buy gas on certain days only, depending on what your license plate number was.
How did they validate that the license plate on the car was for the car?
I don't know.
It seems like you could just every day put a different license plate on your car and...
Known by a couple of different names, either the 73 to 75 recession or just the 70s recession.
Yeah.
This was an unusual recession in the United States economy.
Ooh, there was inflation.
Not just inflation.
Yeah.
Stagflation.
Yes.
Where unemployment and high inflation exist simultaneously.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Things cost a lot more. That sucked. And add to that, people don't have a job.
Yep.
Double suckage. And the gas station thing, that was because at the same time there was an oil crisis.
Those OPEC dudes are fucking us up.
Raising the cost of a barrel of oil.
Yeah.
So you wait in line to buy expensive gas that you can't afford because you don't have a job.
You could probably rewind some of this back to decisions that were made way before with the automobile industry when they decided to pull up all of the rail tracks out of cities because the Fords and whatnot wanted everyone to fucking own a car.
Yep.
So they went out of their way to ensure public transportation fucking sucks.
Sweet.
The shame train.
Those were the underlying conditions.
Yeah.
And we already have talked about that in the 70s, in general, the guitar market was soft anyway.
Yeah, disco.
Disco killed guitars.
Right.
I think that's how that went. That and,
We have not talked about ABBA.
Are you implying that ABBA had something to do with stagflation?
I'm just saying it's oddly coincidental.
So the boom in the guitar market that was happening in the 50s and 60s that had everybody buying them and playing them and was turning the heads of corporate overlords went soft in the 70s.
Real soft boy.
Yeah, as far as Fender was concerned, this was when CBS owned them.
When I think CBS, I do not think guitar manufacturing.
In addition to sales flagging anyway because of economic concerns, people were bagging all over Fender because quality had slipped.
Quality is slipping, and heavier music is also becoming a thing, and so people are flipping over into the Gibson camp a little bit, into old Shitsville.
I can imagine where CBS is thinking, wow, this is not what we thought we bought into just a handful of years ago in 1965.
Yep.
So they kind of like mumble through the 70s. They tried all different kinds of advertising campaigns and different kinds of models. We've talked about the weird models they tried to come out with. Everybody did in the 70s. Everybody was trying something new to try to make some money. Finally, I guess they had enough towards the end of the 70s. In 1981, CBS Fender recruits two dudes. They go over to Yamaha. Yamaha's American Musical Instruments Organization, and they poach a couple of dudes.
Yamaha is a Japanese company, yes?
Yep.
But this is the American arm.
Yeah. They find two dudes. John C. McLaren.
Okay.
He ends up at the tail end of this story owning BBE Electronics.
Yes.
The company that Leo Fender sold G&L to.
So, right. They were bros.
Yeah, he liked John McLaren.
Right. And McLaren is still friends with Leo's wife?
Phyllis.
Got it.
He's one of the dudes that they get to come over from Yamaha. The other guy is William Schultz.
Oh, no.
Yeah, bummer. Schultz split. He was at Yamaha as well. They bring him over, and they make him the president.
Schultz, Sergeant Schultz, right? From
Hogan's Heroes?
Hogan's Heroes.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have enough comedies set in prisoner of war camps with real sympathetic Nazi characters.
Oh, I see nothing. I was not here. I did not even get up this morning.
What the hell?
You would think it was a misstep, but Nazis today are marching in fucking Portland. We don't need those dickbags.
I hate Illinois Nazis.
Right, exactly.
So these two dudes come in.
Schultz
and McLaren.
Yeah.
From Yamaha. As I mentioned, they make Schultz the president of Fender.
Yeah.
Mop up this shit.
Mop this shit up.
The quote most often used when referring to Schultz is, quote, the man who saved Fender.
Whoa, great.
Yep.
And he's not doing anything these days.
No, he's
We
not.
lost him.
We lost him.
Back in the 90s or something?
We lost him in 2006.
Oh.
Yeah.
The year that guitar came out.
Yeah, the year this guitar I'm playing came
Well,
out.
that's crazy.
So the first thing they do is realize that, wow, musicians hate the shit we're doing. It's not just the wacky models.
Right.
The musicians are saying these things are sloppily made.
Yep.
They don't play well.
Yep.
They're hard to set up. The quality sucks. These musicians, every time they are on stage, Schultz and McLaren are noticing, wow, they got these great vintage instruments. How come they don't even give a shit about the new instruments? Oh, must be because they suck. What if we were to make instruments that didn't suck?
That's an idea that's so crazy it just might work.
I think so. Yeah, yeah.
Like-
It could work.
I finished my superfood and I'm moving on to my iced.
Okay,
iced
well, take your pulse, take
Okay.
deep breaths.
Yeah, everything seems fine.
Give me the heads up if you're going to die.
There is a garbage can next to me, and you would not believe the number of cans and bottles and bullshit in there.
So, 82, they
Yeah.
want to do vintage reissues. They actually call the line U.S. vintage reissues.
Okay.
This is still CBS. So, the inflation I talked about, 73 to 75.
The stagflation.
Yeah, although on paper that recession was 73 to 75, the lasting impact of it went longer. Took a while for jobs numbers to go up, for oil to go down, all that kind of stuff. So when Schultz and McLaren are trying to make the U.S. vintage reissues, the economy's still not favorable. The exchange rate is better in Japan.
Okay.
So they say, let's make them in Japan. We're going to move production of these reissues over to Japan.
Yeah.
They do that in 82, and guess what happens? Home run.
The ones that were made in Japan, those are the CIJ, right?
Crafted in Japan, yes.
Right.
If you're looking for a Japanese guitar from the early 80s, if
Yeah.
it says crafted in Japan,
Yeah.
chances are real good that it's going to be a fantastic
Yeah.
instrument.
Way more collectible now.
A quote about this?
Yeah.
Quote, the early Fender Japan guitars rival anything Fender or CBS ever did.
Ever.
Ever.
Who said that?
I don't know.
Look it up, assholes.
Yeah, look it up, guys. The quality was so good
Okay.
on these U.S. vintage reissues made in Japan that there were people.
Right.
The part that says crafted in Japan,
Yeah.
they might just remove that part and pass it off as an older vintage guitar. That's how good they were. People
Yeah.
would play them and say, wow, this is fantastic. Very
Yep.
nice.
Great.
In 84, amidst all of this,
All this bullshit.
CBS decides to sell Fender.
Yep.
Who do they sell it to?
As an active listener and often guest of this, I should know the answer to that.
Our man Schultz.
Yeah.
I gotta think that Schultz sees this as a good bet because he's the one that turned it around.
He knows what's up.
At the time, Fender couldn't find anything but lowball offers.
Right.
The stink was still on him. Like, fuck, you don't want those guys.
The fucking...
So Schultz gets himself together a bunch of investors. Hey, let's buy the company back.
All Schultzy.
So they did it.
Yeah.
Here's the only problem.
Okay.
The factory in Fullerton, California,
Yep.
was too valuable in terms of real estate space.
Sure.
So it was not included in the sale.
No Fender California.
Now Schultz
Okay.
owns Fender.
He owns the name.
Yeah, so if he ever wants to bring manufacturing back to the U.S.,
Yeah.
he's got to find a new place to do it.
God damn it.
He can manage to hang out for a little bit.
Okay.
Because the guitars coming out of Japan are top notch.
Top notch.
That's great.
Great.
Sales are going up a little
Great.
bit. In 1985,
Yep.
they found new property, Corona, California.
Corona beers.
Yeah, they loaned Fender some property.
Okay.
Yeah, 14,000 square foot facility.
14,000 doesn't sound huge. That actually sounds pretty small to me.
By 1990,
Yeah.
it would be 80,000 square feet.
That sounds closer.
So they do that, new factory in Corona.
Yeah.
And they start little by little to bring manufacturing back to the U.S.
Love it.
Another great step for our man Schultz.
Yeah.
He decides, you know what we're going to do?
I don't know.
We're going to focus on quality, not quantity. We're going to make sure every fucking guitar is badass, and I don't care if we only make 2 guitars a year. They're going to be great.
I love it when he says stuff like that. Do they actually follow through?
They do.
Okay, good
So
job.
the line is still called U.S. Vintage Reissues. You can get a 52 Tele, 62 Jazzmasters, 62, 67, all those key years you could get.
Okay.
And they were great instruments.
Yeah.
The only changes made after that, 1998, they just changed some marketing on it. The U.S. vintage reissue becomes the American Vintage Reissue, or AVRI. Same deal. They're still trying to make them as faithful to the originals as they possibly can.
Yep.
But now they're called the AVRIs.
Yeah.
So here's the AVRI.
Yep. Yep.
And this is the 1963 Jazzmaster. How close do they sound to you?
They sound super close, but they do sound slightly different.
One of the biggest differences that you can see, listeners, for those of you
watching at home,
the 63 is considerably more worn.
Yeah.
So the neck feels smoother. It's been worn down.
I would say the finish is just gone.
So that makes it easier to get up and down the neck in a more comfortable way. And the body feels more resonant. I strum a chord and I can feel it kind of vibrating. So there's that. Whereas the 2006, of course, doesn't have any of that same wear. So they make the AVRIs from 98 to 2012.
Yep.
2012, they again changed the name. They're still doing the reissues. They call the series American Vintage Guitars, 2012 to 2017.
Yeah.
Along the way here, every little incremental change they did was in continuance of the idea of making them as faithful to the originals as possible.
Yeah, they wanted them more faithful.
Just this year, 2018, they again changed the name.
Yep.
Same concept. It's a reissue that's meant to be faithful to the classic. Now they are just called American Originals.
That shit just pisses me off. You know, we're trying to make this vintage reissue of a 62. Let's change the name every 3 years just to confuse the consumers.
Right. It's more a marketing
You just
thing.
have to know, like, by serial number and year.
Well, that's
like,
another weird thing. With the AVRIs and a lot of the reissues, you can't tell from the serial number.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so each of
God damn it.
each of my reissues, I've got a Tele, a Jag, and a Jazzmaster.
Yeah.
I have chosen to email Fender, who I should say are really nice dudes.
Yeah.
They get back to you quickly and they're very friendly.
Right.
And say, here's the serial number. Can you tell me what year this is? And they'll do it. If you don't want to do that, the only way to know is to take the neck off and look at the date stamped on the neck.
Yeah. Here's the thing we haven't talked about. One of these is mine, and one of them is yours. So we did that episode with Frank from ThunderRoadGuitars.com.
Yes, we did the Jazzmaster episode.
Yeah.
And Frank brought over 58.
58, 59,
First year they were
Like,
made.
from the Montana collection.
Yes.
They went out to Montana and picked up a whole pile of guitars from the biggest Fender collector who had ever lived. So we brought one of those, and John and I both
Went apeshit over
Yeah.
Jazzmasters.
Yeah, we both had to have one. And Frank said there's one more coming in from Montana, and neither of us could really justify that 58. But he said, oh, we've got this 63 coming in. And then in that same few weeks since that episode, got this AVRI in. And we both bought one. Which one did you buy, John?
I bought the AVRI,
Yeah.
which I have switched back over to while you were talking.
Oh, that's cool.
I did it surreptitiously so the viewers wouldn't know.
Yeah, you did great. So that one's John's now. Yeah. Why'd you get that one, John?
I've played a lot of Fenders in my day.
Yeah.
And anybody who has knows that anything coming out of the 70s specifically and into the 80s depends a lot on the instrument. You
Yeah.
can pick up one instrument and play it and love it, and pick up one right next to it and it's a piece of shit.
Yep.
But when they started this reissue game, it got a lot more consistent.
So I bought the 63. And another thing that I have just seen with the Jazzmasters specifically is that they seem to be kind of weirdly all over the map.
The older ones, you mean?
All of them.
All of them.
I have now played AVRIs, 60s, 58s. I have liked maybe half, maybe a little more than half. I've loved a couple.
Yeah.
And I've just been like, ugh, on a few. Yeah.
Does
Back
sound
on
good,
mine.
doesn't it? Back
Yep.
on the 1963.
Yeah. So, whoever played that thing, played the hell out of it.
You're right. This thing has been played, not abused.
Yeah.
I get the sense that this was a guitar that was taken care of.
I have exclusively played that guitar since I bought it. But one of our first episodes we did... Okay. Oh, Rick Springfield. I was going to say Rick Ocasek. But Springfield. I got it. Yeah. Jesse's girl. My phone's making fucking weird noises, and so I just kicked it across the room.
Weird noise, dude.
We talked about the playability. I think there's probably a little bit of, not fancy boyness, but, you know, I just really like the idea that that thing is a pre-CBS. You know, there's a lot about that guitar that I like that is not about the playability of that guitar.
We're in the same boat that way. If it's beat, we tend to like that.
Yeah.
I buy them to play them.
Yeah, I have no desire to buy a guitar and then worry about it getting dinged.
No thanks.
Yeah.
We
whatever.
try to take care of the guitars here at High Gain Central.
Yeah.
Headquarters.
We do. But that is not to say that we kid glove them or anything.
Right. These are working instruments, and we intend to use them.
Yeah, my guitars now, they are all black.
Ed's colorblind, so I haven't had the balls to tell him that guitar is actually blue.
It's, black and green-esque. So,
blue and red.
Yeah. What do you think? You know what this one didn't have much of?
What's that?
Maybe the funny.
I might have to look for some ironic sound clips that aren't Morning Zoo, but more like...
Maybe. You know, there might be stuff in there. Like maybe this one's just a different one. I don't know. Yeah.
Sounds really good.
Yep. You know, if you want to buy a reissue, whatever, if it plays good and you like the way it looks, that seems like that should be a pretty heavy motivator.
I gotta hand it to Fender
Yeah.
on the reissues. As far as I know, from the time they started doing it in 82 to current day, their reissue line guitars haven't been crazy expensive. Go find like a reissue Les Paul.
Right.
It's like, what is that?
Oh, my
like,
God.
How much are those things?
There's like so many just $4,000 Les Pauls. And I just, no thanks.
Yeah, it's
but
crazy. Like the current American originals.
You can get those 52 Telly for $1,600.
Yeah.
I have never owned a Telly.
Huh.
I absolutely would be in the market for an AVRI. So
Yeah.
when that Montana collection came in,
Right.
they got in a 72 or something.
That sounds about right.
Had been in a smoke-filled bar for 30 or 40 years, and it was a blonde that had turned bright orange from smoke from this bar. And I kind of loved it.
And it had a sticker on it that said Libra.
Yeah, like the Zodiac sign. You know about that, guys? You know about the Zodiac. Ted Cruz, the Zodiac killer?
Ted Cruz, yeah.
Yeah, Zodiac killer. Allegedly.
Allegedly,
Senator Ted Cruz is the Zodiac killer.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
We should be like Trump. I'm not going to say Ted Cruz is a serial killer. That would be irresponsible and wrong.
Right.
I don't know if he is. What do I know?
What do you know?
Not much.
Nope.
I'm back to the 63 now.
Back on the oldie. With the matching headstock, mine just says Fender on the headstock.
Oh, that's right.
Because the little Jazzmaster sticker would not show up, so they black on black, so they just removed it. I guess they didn't bother making like a gold sticker or something, so it just says Fender on the headstock. Is that my shit's all dinging? God damn it, John.
Yeah, Ed did not go into airplane mode, apparently.
I don't know what I did.
Do you feel like you are any more clear on the vintage reissue picture, Ed, than you were heading into this?
You know, I feel like these goddamn guitar makers, and they're renaming their reissue lines and historics and AVR. Like, I don't give a shit. I could not care less what it's called.
I don't know. From a marketing point of view, I think the current one, American Original, I think that's succinct enough.
Is it more succinct than AVRI, which no one says American Vintage Reissue? Maybe that's why they did it. It was too much of a mouthful.
That could have been.
But still, like, it doesn't say American Original or American Vintage Reissue on the guitars. They both made 52 Tellys and 62 Jazzmasters and whatever. Who gives a shit what it's called? Is that just some marketing dude needs to
Justify his position?
Maybe. There's going to be some Mad Men kind of dude who's all pissed off at you now.
Yep.
I hope he's mad at John.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
get enough of the people mad at me.
Yep.
That's my gig. So are you compelled that you think like now would you be in the market for a 60 pre-CBS Jazzmaster?
No, not because I'm not compelled, but I'm just not there economically.
Say you could get rid of a couple of AVRIs and go into a pre-CBS.
I think for where I am right now, I don't need to do that.
Yeah. There you go.
All right.
All right.
Well, listeners and viewers both,
Yeah.
that's why they make reissues at Fender.
Yeah. That is, it's all cash grabs.
Yep, cash grabs.
It's all money.
Yep.
Yep.
So you've been listening to the High Gain Podcast here on the High Gain Podcast.
TheHighGainPodcast.com.
Yeah, and the High Gain Pod at gmail.com.
And the High Gain on Instagram. And the High Gain on Facebook.
Yep.
And the High Gain on Twitters.
Yep.
And probably elsewhere.
Yeah, elsewhere.
I don't know. We're on iTunes.
Yeah, if you have any problems with what we've said, take it up with Ed.
Yeah, eat shit.
Yeah.
Eat shit, you dirtbags.
So there you go then.
Yeah, leave a review on iTunes.
Yeah, review this on iTunes. Tell us what you thought.
Great.
All right then.
Okay, bye.